Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Layla Wave. I said I'd go live here. Had some topics and I was gonna try and keep doing it, but I've been slacking again. It's been March 15th. I got back from Mexico, so it's been just 3 weeks. That was a Sunday, so a little over 3 weeks. And kind of crazy how quick it went by. I didn't realize it's only been a week since I stopped my self isolation. So I just wondering how everyone else is doing, and thought I'd do a little video. I'm lucky I was busy because I had another house I could go between and it was vacant, so I could start ripping stuff apart. So that kept me quite busy. And then, of course, the week that I'm able to do stuff, I've been still avoiding people, but had some completions and stuff. So it's been a busy. Last week was quite busy. This week, not quite as much going on. I have one possession this week. I'll have to go meet them, but keep my distance, of course. And I had to go to the bank today. Unfortunately, I have the kid with me as well, so there was a big lineup, so I had to keep him with me. Otherwise, I would have just left him in the truck and ran in quick because he's more than capable of staying there for a few minutes and looking after himself. Tell him where I'm going to be if it's an emergency. But it was a big lineup, so they said half an hour. It only took about 15 minutes, which was great. We all just kept our distance, and the lineup, I think everyone but like 3 people was in the lineup outside. But kind of crazy. We're living in a little bit of a different world here. And I did some training, just like a webinar last week from Grant Cardone. I follow Grant a little bit. Some people think he's a little bit high on himself, but I think he's probably a pretty smart man. And it was some interesting stuff. Of course, he was trying to sell some coaching at the end, which I didn't join because I got lots of stuff going on. But he had some interesting points. I got some notes here, but he's says he's not a positive person. Everyone thinks he's really positive. But he was talking about how like sometimes there's 20 different things he has to go through for one decision, whether it's buying a real estate investment or not, and that he's actually negative and critical of things. I think, the reason he's like that is because in a real estate investment or any business decision, you have to analyze things and vet them or make sure they're correct or going to work out, because down the road, if you haven't done that and you buy in his case, massive apartment buildings and you haven't done your due diligence correctly, that can backfire hugely. So he just talked about the fact that he's actually a negative person. He looks positive maybe, but he analyzes everything and he's analytical, probably is the negative side of him. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And he said as of, was it the 11th that this sort of 11th of March that this sort of happened. He's like, the day that they announced this, he's like, I got a call saying that, things are changing. And obviously it's different in the States and Canada. I feel like Canada, we're a little, hopefully not as high population. Maybe this isn't going to affect us as bad in the long run, but it's hard to say, right? And his phone call was about, the economy and stuff and what's going to happen. And he's talking about what he's doing with his business. He's like, I stopped paying myself, which obviously when you have that kind of income coming in like him, you can stop paying yourself and still have money to live, right? Not all of us can do that. I definitely can't do that. And he was talking about, changes he made in his business and how you're doing things and just pulling back a bit. But then one other interesting thing he talked about was, which I think relates to life and trauma and stuff as well. That's what I related it to. But like the stages of handling a loss or a change. I think that's probably an important thing. He talked about denial. Just go through it really quickly. Denial, anger, being angry. Obviously, a lot of people in denial of what's going on takes a little bit to set in. I was in Mexico when I started hearing about this the last 2 days. And, we just sort of kept going. Mexico wasn't really talking about it too much. So we were just doing our thing. But we were reading a bit, and we definitely did have some conversations with a few people about it. And the Mexicans were aware that it was going to affect their life as well. So denying it, then what do? You go into anger, being angry, or anger being angry. And then bargaining, trying to make sense of the situation. Important to he says it's important who you surround yourself with, which I think is that makes sense. You don't want to surround yourself with people that are just like, we're going to shut her down and stop living life. That's my thought. Like, you can't stop living. Like, you can't let it define who you are. Obviously, we have to avoid people and take precautions, but keep living, keep learning. If you have to stay at home and you can't go anywhere, take that opportunity to learn and do something you have passion for, or clean your garage. That's what I need to do. Landscape your yard. If you're stuck in a condo, read a book about something that you're passionate about, whether it's learning or even just a story or something that's going to keep you busy. I think it's probably important. Depression. So I think that's something we need to avoid, is getting depressed and letting it control our lives. and hiding under it, sitting there scrolling Instagram all day or chill Netflix and chill, good excuse to just step back and out of life and maybe blame the world for it. But that's definitely not probably a productive way to deal with everything. And then of course there's acceptance, acceptance being the end, right? The quicker you can get to accepting everything that's going on, you can move on and respond to it and take action, right? Like what can you do to keep everything going? What can you do to mitigate and change your outcome of the current situation? Because I mean, I'm not very old. I've been through, I guess, one great recession, whatever they called the 2009. I don't think it was nearly as bad as other times, but I mean, I just bought my first house. I almost bought a brand new truck when I was going to school for third year, and I came back and got laid off, and it hit me pretty hard. I was laid off. I didn't work for a long time. I think I did a video about this before, but it was 18 months actually that I didn't work for, stuck in Fort St. John. I did a little bit of under the table work, but man, that hit me pretty hard, and I ended up in Fort McMurray and came out of it well. I still have the house, but I won't sit back this time and let myself, like, I'll do a better job this time than I did last time, because I won't let myself be like, I finally to the point where I've recuperated from that, and I won't go back there, right? It just won't happen. So I'm lucky that I have this other house I bought that's kept me super busy. The real estate market has slowed down. I've got lots of inquiries. I had a really busy first bit of the year and end of last year, so that was good. That's good for me. Have a little bit of money to do some stuff with, and be careful on how I spend it, right? Because it's probably pretty important right now. I don't want to go blowing it all. Renovating a house, it's gonna probably take most of my money out, but then I'll get that back, whether I sell it or get a good tenant in there and remortgage. So my plan is to renovate. I bought it for fairly cheap, affordable, something I could afford. I'm using my line of credits and stuff to renovate it, right? Which isn't the best, but no risk, no reward. So renovate it, buy it, renovate it, remortgage it, try and pull most of my money back out if I have to leave a little bit of money in there. But if I can get a tenant in there and still get cash flow after I've remortgaged and I've done all that work to it, that's awesome. I've been doing a little more work than I thought to it, than I planned to do to it, but it's all good. I like to stay busy. I could not stay here at home and do nothing. We do have some landscaping we could be doing, but we put that on hold. So kind of crazy. And my whole thought on this little live video was like, I think people just need to not stop living their lives over all this. And hopefully you guys aren't doing that. You're still plugging away and being productive if you can. I'm lucky enough I have a vacant house I can be renovating. I've got my electrician in there doing some work. He's in there today alone. I'm going to go there this evening and do some work myself, and I've just been doing all the labor work. I'll probably do a little bit of the finishing work and stuff, but it's not my profession, so I'll hire someone to do that part that is going to do a good job of it. And yeah, so I don't know, just get stuff done. Try not to stop living, and because who knows how long it's going to last. They're saying 18, 24 months. And it's hard if your incomes went from something to zero. What can you do to change that? I know the online people are like pumping themselves up big time right now. Even my brokerage, like we're an online technology-based brokerage that are sort of cutting edge, growing, and I see they're posting lots about free EXP World passes and just putting it out there that they are giving access so they can promote themselves, which makes sense because we still have full office meetings. I missed office meeting while I was away, but I've been back home. We've had full office meetings just like normal, talking about everything that's going on and how we can mitigate it and how we're still running our businesses. Of course, it's hard to go out and show houses and stuff with all this. I showed one house the other day. We had our mask and our gloves and everything. And any of my listings, we're making sure we tell the buyer's agent that we want them to have mask, gloves, make sure you've looked at the 3D tour and just mitigate that stuff. But the other people like Russell Brunson and like Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, all these big people that Russell did a live video the other day. He said he had been live 9 times that day. That's just insane. I'm like, how could you go live 9 times? I got home and I was like, I'm going to go live every day. And I freaking probably been about 50, 60%. Just because I've just been kind of consumed, right? So I've been doing it, but not as consistently. So how do you go live 9 times in a day? And they're all about his funnels and online marketing, e-commerce. I mean, I know a lot of you out there are probably ordering your groceries online. I need a flushing hose for my pressure washer, and I looked in Canadian Tire and stuff just to see if they had any, but I ordered it on Amazon because it just made sense for it to be dropped off my door. They didn't have it at Canadian Tire anyways, but I had to go to Home Depot and get some paint, and they're making people wait at the door. It wasn't too bad in there. I passed a few people, but everyone was able to keep their space and get their shopping done. So things like that. Obviously, the online world's going to be blown up with this, and our society is already, a lot of it's online. Our social media, the antisocial stuff. So what can you do if you don't have a job? Can you do some new training? Can you go buy one of Russell's courses? Can you buy one of Grant's courses? Tony Robbins? I mean, he's a super successful guy. I watched a webinar of his the other day. It was him, Dean Graziosi, and Russell Brunson actually, but it was Tony's. Tony and Dean Graziosi's program that they're selling, and it was quite interesting. It was actually about learning how to become a coaching mentor like them, and actually grow your online coaching business. I believe that's what it was about. And they were, of course, selling a package at the end, of course, but I didn't buy it. But was still some good value there. So, do you go become something like that? Do you start becoming some of the drop ship stuff where you just have your website and the money runs through it and the stuff gets ordered from somewhere else, or selling on Amazon? Have you been writing a book? Do you finish your book you've been writing and start selling on Kindle? Or turn it into an audiobook? I don't know. I know someone that said they've been writing a book. I was trying to push them to get it done and write it on Kindle, or get it on Kindle. I think it's Amazon Kindle, right? It's supposed to be pretty easy to do. And I was like, just put it into writing, get it edited, do it. So maybe he's watching. Maybe he'll go finish his book. But it's hard to get everything done in life, especially if it's something you're doing on the side and just got to get done. So I don't know. I've been staying busy. I hope you guys are all staying busy. I can't sit still and do nothing. I'm always busy, and sometimes I kick myself and I'm like, I just want a break. But as soon as I have a break, I take a new project on, and I find something else to do. I got a car sitting in my garage I could be rebuilding, but I haven't gotten to it yet. So I think just with all this, you can't let it define who you are, and you have to keep plugging away and moving forward, whether it's learning, entertaining yourself. I've been trying to renovate a house, trying to keep my real estate business at least out there, so that when everything comes back around, hopefully people will still know who I am and want to come list their house with me or buy a house with me. And watching this, maybe taking care of the kid. Tanya's at work because she works for BMO, so she has to work. So Brantley's can't go to his grandparents because of everything going on. We don't want to be sending him back and forth. So he's with me, and then she's planning a couple days off if she needs it when I have completions or I have a listing appointment or something. So it's tough trying to keep him entertained and doing some schooling. We've been doing some reading. We did some yoga the other day. I should probably do some more of that. I tried to get him to do some push-ups and sit-ups with me because I've been doing them every morning. But he was kind of useless in the morning at doing that. He wasn't motivated. So we did yoga. I put Post-it notes all over the house with cat, dog, different words and letters we ran through, read those. Tanya's been doing some online. He got a computer. His grandma bought him a computer. Spoiled though. She had a computer when I was 6. She's been doing some online math with him. So he's been doing all right with that. I think getting some little awards and stuff. And the teachers, I think they did a call the other day. This camera's never going to be centered. Call, like a FaceTime call with the teacher, and she was like, don't push it too much. They're all going to be a little bit behind, but do as much as you can. And she was pretty supportive and stuff. If you ever need anything, you can email her. She sent us a bunch of worksheets and websites and stuff to go to. So kind of crazy. Trying to renovate a house, trying to take care of a kid, trying to keep the real estate business going. So hopefully when this is all over, I have some money rolling in again. And hopefully you guys are all doing the same and keeping motivated and positive. I mean, it's hard. I mean, like I said, Tanya made me some stuff to do for social media content, like what to talk about. I don't know where the list is. I think she put it in Google Keep now, but I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to do it every day. But honestly, there's days where I'm like, screw it. I'm just done, or I didn't get to it, or I'm stressed out. And it's not easy, like going live or trying to figure out stuff to post or who to call. Like in sales, my biggest thing I've always hated is like calling and door knocking. Like I like talking to people. If someone answers the phone and they're a nice person, they want to talk, that's great. But going through your leads and calling them all, holy crap. I've never loved doing that, but I've always done it. Door knocking when I started. So there's always a negative of it, and I feel guilty. When I don't do something, I feel guilty. I'm like hard on myself, Tanya always says, because I'm like, I should be doing this, or I didn't get that done. But I probably do a lot more than I guess the average person would expect of themselves, so I need to remember that it's okay to take a break once in a while and not get everything done. But I think that's also, if you're an ambitious person and you want to get to a certain level, then getting lots of things done and holding a high standard is what will get you there, right? Trying to do a good job, and you can't please everyone, but hopefully the ones that you have pleased and you've done a good job for, they're going to come back, and those are the ones that you want to keep working with, right? There's always going to be some unhappy people, and I always look at it like someone in the eyes of media, like Schwarzenegger or Donald Trump or Trudeau, or let's go to the online world, Tony, all them. I've never heard anyone talk negative about Tony Robbins, but Richard Robbins, what's his name, real estate trainer. I'm going to start training with him. Can't remember his name. So the higher up you are, the more known you are, whether it's in your city or in the whole world as a celebrity. There's always going to be people that are going to say bad things about you or not be happy with you. So you just have to concentrate on the people that are doing good and keep going and do the best job you can, I think. But that's my motto. Anyways, I'm going to get some work done here. Tanya should be home in a couple hours, and then I'm going to go work on that house. I got drywallers coming in next Tuesday, so I got a lot of stuff I got to get done before then. I started taking it all on myself, all the demo and minor repairs and stuff I'm doing myself. So kind of interesting. Did a bunch of dump runs yesterday. Got rid of the deck and a bunch of, there was a holly bush. Actually, I got rid of the holly bush the other day, or cut it down the other day, hauled it away yesterday. Started to dig up the perimeter drains, and the one perimeter drain is just screwed on one side of the house because the holly bush has been growing through it and it's broken apart. So I'm like, oh yay, I might get to do some perimeter drains. Probably like a $10,000 job if you go hire someone in a little house like that. So hopefully they're not screwed. But with that said, I'm not sure if you need a permit from the city for that. I'll look into that, but I'll just rent a machine and do it myself. Hopefully they're not all screwed. If it's just the one side of the house, I will dig it up myself by hand and replace it. The other side, hopefully I can unplug. They're all full of dirt and clogged, except for the one by the back door. It drains off, no problem. There's a drain there. So it could be going into the sewer, not the storm. I'm not sure. But yeah, you never know what you're getting in an old house, right? Inspectors don't inspect perimeter drains. And just back to the real estate world for clients. And if you're going to buy a house or you bought a house, it's hard because people are like, you get a home inspection. People don't want to pay for a perimeter drain inspection. They don't want to pay for extra things, right? Like chimney inspection. So a lot of home inspectors will do your wet inspection for you, which is great. Maybe not quite as qualified as a chimney guy. But perimeter drains, man, if the perimeter drains are gone on a monster house, I mean, you could be 20, 30 grand maybe. I don't know, but obviously that's up to the professionals how much it costs and how deep down they are. But most people don't get those inspected, and you never know. I didn't get them inspected. I expected there could be some issues. I got the house cheap enough that no matter what, if I do the work myself, I can recoup some of that, but it always cuts into your bottom line, right? So, a big job like that, if you can't do it yourself and you got to fork it out of your pocket, or you're a first-time home buyer, that can be tough. So that comes down to get a home inspector, get your drains inspected. What about an underground oil tank? There was an old oil pad there with a line, and I took the risk. The line's there. The line's coming out in the furnace. I know the line's coming out of the ground. I know there's a pad there, so there's not an underground oil tank. But you never know, right? Around here, it's not very common. I've never in my life had someone do an underground oil tank inspection on a house. I was never taught that getting into the industry. I think places like Vancouver might be more common. But man, I couldn't imagine the devastation of finding one later on and the potential hazard it could cause leaking to the next property and causing damage. That would be a very hard pill to swallow if you didn't have that done. But inspectors do look for. We walk around the property. If you ever see a pipe sticking out of the ground or something weird that you're not sure about, look into it. Get a flashlight, look down it, or whatever you got to do. Hire someone to come scope it, figure out where it goes. Right, just some random pipe. It's probably there for a reason. Hopefully, no one's tried to hide it. Yeah. What else? Oh, commercial. I just sold a commercial building in Courtenay though. It did have an old underground oil tank, but with a commercial building, you always do a stage 1 environmental. They're quite expensive. We had 2 stage 1s done. The tank had been filled with concrete. There's no way to do proper core sampling, so they did air quality monitoring tests, and it's checked out good. You never know though on a 100-year-old building like that if you have to go tear it down. what could happen. You're supposed to have an engineer or a environmental engineer there monitoring while you renovate or excavate if you're going to do it. So, but all was good. I think it was drained. It was filled with concrete a long time ago, and hopefully they flushed it first. I don't even know the process, but probably different now than it was 20, 30 years ago when they did it. So always risks there. And commercial's a little bit of a different world, right? So not something I've done a lot of, but definitely I've actually written quite a few offers on commercial buildings, but never had them come together. I've only sold a few, but it's always a learning curve, learning what to put in there, different clauses and stuff for different situations. You always have to think and troubleshoot and figure out what potential hazard there might be there. Is it an oil tank? Is it structural? Is it asbestos? Is it rural where there's septic or lagoon issue? Well, no lagoons around here, but so every real estate transaction is different. You have to sort of look at and go, okay, what are the issues going to be? And then, but you also have to make it look appealing to the seller, or try and make the buyer's offer look appealing to the seller. If you have 100 subjects in there and you're trying to write an offer that's really low, then it's going to be pretty hard to negotiate that and get a really good deal. So that comes down to the buyer and the buyer's risk tolerance and what they want to allow and what they want to waive as far as subjects. I had an old coach when I first started, and he would tell me to write offers subject to due diligence. So due diligence covering the whole scope of everything. I knew my managing broker wouldn't be happy with that. I never did any offers like that. To me, it seems a little bit vague. And if it went to court and you tried to get out on something and just called it due diligence, would it be okay? Probably, but as a seller, I don't think I'd want to accept that subject to due diligence. Well, what kind of due diligence? Oil tank, inspection, financing? What about financing? Do you have financing? Are you been pre-approved? Title, so it could cover everything. It could be, get out on a little technicality that maybe wouldn't be sufficient for you selling the property. Anyways, hope everything's staying safe and sound. If you want to comment below, if you've listened to this far or are watching right now live, comment below on what you are doing. If you're not working, if you're still working, that's great. If you're out there supporting all the stuff that we need to keep this world going, that's great. But if you can comment what you're doing to stay busy, or if you're taking any action to change your life, to better it, or to change what you do for work to keep yourself going, depending how long this lasts, or maybe you're just out there trying to help other people. If you don't need the money, or you don't need to work, and you're able to do stuff to support other people, comment below and let me know what you're up to. Thanks. Hope everyone's having a great day, great Monday. It's beautiful outside. It was beautiful yesterday, and we had a nice weekend. Oh, sort of. It snowed Saturday. Or Monday, Saturday, Friday. Saturday it snowed a little bit. Anyways, take care. Bye.